Hey Star-Powered friends, welcome to Star Power Alchemy YouTube. My name is Alejandra Sofia, bringing to you the astrological news from the macrocosm to the microcosm of you. Today I'm tuning in to the April 19th, 2019 full moon. It's a full moon in Libra. Now, I pronounce Libra. It's been passed on to me through my astrological lineage. Elias Lonsdale and Mark Borax, my teachers, and so, moving forward, the Libran full moon. This is the second Libran full moon of the spring season. The spring launched out the door with the Libran full moon at the first degree. Now, each degree, so there's 30 degrees in each sign. So that makes up 360 degrees, the whole Zodiac, 12 signs. Now, then there's 30 degrees, 30 degree frequencies. And those have their own key evolutionary energies and essences to them. So you can look at it as like the degree frequencies are the most macro, and then the signs, and then the planets, just the way they filter through the signs. And all of these are points of powerful activation that really make up the uniqueness every moment, that describe how unique every moment truly is through this unfolding rhythmic dance of the planets, through the signs, through the degrees and the degree frequencies. So what's special about what's interesting, what makes this a really fantastic cutting edge moment is that that's exactly what this is about. This is about radical transformation. Now, there's a conversation happening on the planet, the new science that's emerging, the new data that's emerging, the information that's emerging about, what's possible for human beings and human potential. So what does this full moon have to do with that conversation? What does it have to do with neurogenesis? What does it have to do with neuroplasticity? What does it have to do with maximizing, becoming, and becoming who you really are and finding out who you are? Well, that's what this moon's about. This moon is, because it's happening at the 30th degree frequency, it's the last degree. Now, it's the last degree because the full moon is a opposition. It's always an opposition between the sun and moon. There's a power, and it's happening in the signs of ARiES and Libra, these relational polarities. Now, what's interesting about this particular polarity, it's a cardinal polarity. Cardinal is a modality of, each sign has a modality. So ARiES and Libra share modalities, and they have a cardinal modality, and that modality has a thrusting energy. It begins, it initiates, it activates. There's a catalyzation also in all the cardinal signs, which include Capricorn and Cancer as well. So with what's in particular to this polarity of ARiES and Libra is that they're the most outgoing of all the signs. Their energy moves outward. They're the most visible signs, which makes things really interesting because we've been living with a lot of invisibility. We've been living with a lot of confusion about what it means to live and be alive because of social norms, because of cultural conditioning, because of cultural conditioning that comes through family conditioning and tribal conditioning, and conditioning being where you get where your true natural self gets conditioned and molded into something else through survival instincts. So given all the astrology of this time, the most significant aspect being that we're inside of a Saturn-Pluto conjunction that began on December 22nd, 2018. Saturn came within a 10-degree orb of Pluto, and that began a conjunction of these two powerful energies in the sign of Capricorn. Now, they have not made a conjunction in the sign of Capricorn for a long, long time, and we weren't alive. None of us were alive. Our parents weren't alive. Our grandparents weren't alive. So it's been a while, and we are living in radical times. And if you aren't experiencing that yet, well, I recommend that's exactly what this time is about. Like, it's time to radically transform yourself, because it's possible. And that's what these degrees are speaking to. Now, 30 degrees Libra is really fascinating and fantastic, because Libra is classically known as this relationship sign. Well, relationship is not out there. So I don't know how you perceive relationships. I know in the unconscious parts of me, relationship was just something that sort of happened to me. And I know I'm coming out of those stages, but relationship, to come alive, the thing with Aries and Libra is they come alive with relationship. When self comes alive, you really come into life with relationship to everything around you, like everything. That's all that's happening in this universe. That's the only reason why this universe can be, is because there is relationship. And when you've been living out a muted version of yourself, or an unconscious version of yourself, or a fearful version of yourself, and modeling a reality of fear and fear of the unknown, and being taught that the unknown is fearful, therefore follow this script and stick by this model. Oh, you didn't do that model, you suck, you're a failure. Oh, how much money do you have? That being the king idea of like, it doesn't matter who you are, but you got a lot of money and you get a lot of status for that. Well, that's not buying happiness. Money does not buy happiness, and I think we know that by now, and at least some of us know that by now, and that some of us is a lot of us, the people who are wanting to wake up, and people like you who are listening to astrology. And why do you listen to things like this? It's to understand more the invisible, what is going on, what is happening, because there is a story unfolding. There is a story unfolding where there's a hero's journey taking place, and you're the hero of your own story. You're the star of your show. You're the power. So I call my business Star Power Alchemy, because our solar system is, at the center of it is the sun. It's the central flame of identity, and the symbol of the sun is the radiating who you are, and the radiance coming from your inner fire, your inner being, and being who you are, and really being who you are. So finding out who you are is what this full moon is about, being at the 30th degree frequency. The 30th degree frequency has to do with graduating, because it's at the very end of a sign, and it's getting ready to go into another sign. So the next sign after Libra is Scorpio. Now, these are two very transformational signs. You wouldn't know that about Libra because of this idea of what's been sort of put out there in the world of astrology. And in fact, given how long I've been working with astrology, like I'm discovering how intense and deep and exciting the sign of Libra really is. And it's not this like blowing with the wind, airy. I mean, there's reasons why those qualities do manifest in the sign of Libra, these sort of wishy-washy versions. But when Libra begins to activate, because one of the rulers of Libra is Mars, and that's the soul level ruler. Venus is also a ruler of it. So they're very, so you can see it, you can feel it even in those two planets that rule the sign of Libra. Another ruler of Libra is Pallas Athene, the asteroid. So the mediator, the strategist, the one who's taking the sword and cutting through all the relationship conditioning, and the like, when you're like, you're getting off all those like ideas of yourself and these automatic versions of yourself, and that's what makes this full moon such a sort of a superhero. It's a superhero degree. Like when you're ready to go beyond yourself, when you're ready to radicalize, when you're ready to meet radical transformation inside of yourself, and get mad with yourself, get mad with life, like that the catalyzation that wants to take place in you, that is going to reroute you in all these new directions based on a new foundation, based on a new central point within yourself. So Aries is just really lighting up, blazing this full moon with radical energy. So because that degree, the final degree, the last degree of Aries is shining on the full moon. So the full moon, the moon's receiving the penetration of the Aries light and reflecting it back. So it's a really powerful time that we're in, that's really opening up in individuals, in yourself, you know, just feel where that's opening up inside of yourself. And because Libra has an undertone, its secondary element is water. So it's air and water. So you can think of it as like air, water flowing under air. There's a very empathetic, psychic, all the Librans in the house right now listening, you know what I'm talking about. You just feel people. You're natural born psychologists, along with the sign of Scorpio as well, and Pisces. So, and these three signs, just to bring this in, the Libra, Scorpio, and Pisces belong to a triad that's called the emotive triad. That's something I may go into later, but I'll just leave it there. So they belong to a triad together that has to do with sort of deep psychology, the undersoul story. And so that deep psychological, radical, emotional encounter with your own self, where the parts of yourself that you've been giving up because of the social conditioning that happens naturally in the sign of Libra. That's the two signs that are most susceptible to social conditioning, social tribal conditioning, are Libra and, come on, take a guess. Yes or no? Cancer. Cancer, right? I do connect the fact that we're running rampant, that there's so much cancer, actual illness on this planet, has to do with the deep unconscious hooks into our emotional bodies that has degenerated us and depleted our energy. And so just to speak to us as a whole, as a species, why there's so much cancer is that the lack of emotional intelligence and the disempowerment, and the depletion of energy and misunderstanding of who we are. So just over compromising ourselves, unbeknownst to ourselves, in relationship, in the name of culture and society, and just going down these tracks because that's what we were taught to do. And we want attention, we want love, we want to be accepted in society. So given this time, this cutting edge time that we're in, and you know, I really feel we're just bubbling with change right now. And I don't know what's happening in your life. I know what's happening in my life is I am really shifting my daily routines, and I'm adding in new spiritual feats. So some of you have been listening to me. I'm you know, taking cold water showers every morning, and I'm beginning to increase some, among other actions, daily actions that I'm taking that energize me, because these signs have to do with energy. Aries has to do with, Aries is the energizer, and Libra is the catalyzer. So again, to bring it back to the, you know, the Aries receiving the Libra and full moon light, like that's, and then Libra reflecting back that light to the earth. Like this, it's about radical transformation. Where are you pulling yourself, like pushing beyond your limits? Absolutely this is pushing beyond your limits, pushing beyond your own social conditioning. So really going to those edges of your fear and feeling where you get stopped. So this is in every creative arena, because this has to do with your creativity. This has to do with who you are. Aries is blazing this light through the solar fire, blazing it on the full moon and saying, I can no longer live this plight on earth. It's shining that light on the earth, and always remembering in the full moon opposition, the earth is there. The earth isn't involved in opposition, absolutely. And so it's an amazing moment of what I'm seeing and what I'm feeling, and invite you to share if you'd like to share in the comments, just where you're feeling this radical change and the willingness, because Aries is ruled by Mars and Libra is also ruled by Mars as its second planet rulership, that it is about pushing beyond and becoming a champion of your life, like really stepping up to the plate in a new way. And you know, for just to bring it into, like, because there's like the most evolutionary aspects of that, and then there's the, like, you know, the lower aspects of where if you're not waking up, if you're unconscious, then it can really increase some outward fighting energy and violence and aggression. It could bring that as well. But really the transformational aspect of that is like, if you're on a path of transformation, if you're on a path of healing, looking at yourself, it's taking it up a notch. It's really there's a real feeling of launching into a whole other level, that it's possible by taking daily steps, Saturn in Capricorn, and just changing overnight, because change does happen overnight. It's a moment of choice. It's a moment of decision making, like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to start doing this. So there's a starting to do this, or whatever things you have started in recent months, going back to October as well, because we have been crossing this bridge since October with a sequence of 7 new moons occurring at the 16th degree frequency. And this last Aries new moon on April 5th is the final new moon in this sequence. And so this is the final full moon in that sequence as well. That is bringing yourself out into the light, into visibility, because remember, Aries and Libra are the most visible signs. They're actually really outgoing signs. They're external signs. They want to bring it out into the open, but it's time to drop the facades. That's got to fucking melt off. I didn't know I was gonna do it, speak an F-bomb, but that's what needs to happen. It's done. Things have to end and new things have to begin. And the new things that have to begin are championing yourself. So Mars, again, rules both Aries and Libra. And Mars is the champion of pushing beyond your limits. So really, pick up your physical activity, challenge yourself emotionally, psychologically. Libra is a psychological sign. And so put yourself in uncomfortable circumstances. I don't mean unsafe circumstances. I'm not going to, I don't mean go start cliff jumping or do, it's all personal. You finding out what those edges are, and it's on every level, family, relational, business, career, physical fitness. It's like all the arenas of life, because there's all the slices of pies of life. If you're wanting to meet your full human potential, there's, and you got to do that vision work. As you're stepping into full mode of, I'm the creator of my reality. What are the things that I have to do? If you're listening to people like Joe Dispenza, or listening to, people like, I don't remember his name, but he has the YouTube channel Impact Theory. His name's Tom, but interviewing amazing people, and he's on a path of being legendary. And then Evan Carmichael, who's in Toronto, Canada, who puts out such an amazing content on his YouTube channel. And he's just all these people like Marissa Peers, who's on YouTube as well, who are just all these people bringing information into the light about how to love yourself, and how to have, Marissa Peers teaches and offers rapid transformation, and to really bring change and to initiate real change. And all the people I just mentioned, and David Goggins, Wim Hof, all these methods of activating our energy body, activating the deep power in ourselves. And we're going to have to take up physical activity. I really believe that it's not an option. Like, oh, I'm not really, we got to find what physical activity is what we want to do. I don't think everyone really wants to be a runner, and but why not? Check out running or whatever, swimming, whatever those activities are, because the physical activity is the most key thing, because how it activates your energy body. So, and increases confidence, increases neurogenesis, increases, being self-assured. So physical activity, again, Mars is a ruler of this full moon. It's about, if you're not doing any physical activity, it's time. You gotta do some kind of physical activity, and start gradually, whatever it is, just start something, a new program. And if you're already in physical activity, it's just like taking it up a notch and really aiming for your goals, really aiming and really allowing yourself and transforming your reality, so that you are creating from your visions and not from the default system of your memories. So It's that, you know, Joe, if you listen to Joe Dispenza, and I highly recommend looking him up, Joe Dispenza, like he's showing and revealing how we, you know, that we can transform our lives through deep meditation and understanding about the emotional body, and to learn how to fine tune our emotions so that we're constantly resyncing ourselves up with high vibrational emotions that sustain us inwardly no matter what, so that we become, how that's radical transformation, is to source from within your happiness rather than being so affected by the outer circumstances that it's removing that codependency. That's what makes it that's so amazing, like to remove that codependency with how are outer things looking and what do I have or what do I don't have, and basing your self-worth or your happiness on what you do or don't have, but really coming into deep sense of self that allows you to hone your mind to focus on your visions to create those things that you do want. So so definitely turning towards people who offer cutting edge information to help you move beyond yourself, and, you know, finding trainers, finding other people, finding a mutual empowerment field. So coming into teamwork and teammates, finding allies, people who want to grow, working with the buddy system of some sort, you know, just a friend, if you know, in terms of like using your time to make every day to make incremental growth. This full moon is really full with that and that energy. So gonna wrap this up. Thanks so much for listening. Please check out all my videos that I have in my descriptions. And if you're interested in reading and finding out where these key points are happening in your charts, please send me an email at starpoweralchemy@gmail.com, and please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thanks so much and much love.